So Ephesians 6:10 or EPH 6:10, I'm guessing Ephesians 6:10, said, "What are the names of your sheep?" To which I said, Bonnie and Clyde, obviously. Duh. See the dot head back there? That's Clyde. That's the ram, and this one here, that's Bonnie. That's not the names they started with, but that's the names they ended up with. And this is their little sheepy pen. And they've gotten pretty used to getting fed this time of morning, so they're following me. My sheep hear my voice and know me, and I know them. Literally. Hold on, y'all. Hold on a minute. That's not what Ephesians 6:10 asked. We're going to go for a walk, and then we will go feed the sheep. He asked, what is my opinion about potential civil unrest in California if Trump gets impeached, and how would I suggest surviving something like that? Somebody's shooting over there. We'll see if a wounded deer comes running over this way. How would I deal with Trump being impeached in California? Wow. Okay. Hold on. I thought we were going to walk, but we're not. Mr. E.H. Nebraska, most recent winner of the loot box at Patreon. Let's see. How about this question mark? All right. Get her hat squared away. Good intro, T. You're the best. All right. Civil unrest in California if Trump is impeached, coping with the results. Whew. Okay, number one, why California? I know Northern California is beautiful. I'm sure your job's there. Blah, blah, blah. Family, life. I have family in upstate New York. Guess how often we hang out? Not that often. Yeah. It's not worth being there. Dealing with civil unrest. Okay. Two overarching options here. Column one, deal with it now because you're still there. Column two, don't deal with it at all because you're not there. So, we'll go column two first. Why are you there? And it's probably for all the same reasons that most people are where they're at, because that's where the money is, that's where the jobs are, that's where you built a life at. Your church is there, your friends are there, your family's there, it has great amenities, it's available, you know, it has good proximity to all the things that you'd like to have available to you, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, that's the price you pay then. And I said this in love, that's the price that you pay. You know, decisions have consequences. If you're going to live in the city, you get to deal with all the negative impacts of living in the city. If you firmly believe, and we're going to do a video on this next, but if you firmly believe that the balloon is going to go up sometime in the near future, act like it. Act like it. Make your actions match your ambitions. Because if they don't, we're all just wasting our time. So get out. And I say that with all the brotherly love in my heart. Get out. If you know things are going to get bad, why are you still there? That's the second column. Now let's go back to the first column. Dealing with it if you're still there. Okay, now we can break that down into two subcategories, sheltering in place or bugging out. If you're going to shelter in place, what should you do? Determine how long you think you're going to be there. I prefer to operate in units of months, okay? So take the number of people in your household, multiply times 3, and that's how many gallons of water per day that you need. 1 gallon for washing, 1 gallon for cooking, 1 gallon for drinking, minimum. So if there's 5 people in your household, that's 15 gallons a day times a month. 30 days is 450 gallons. Add 10% just cause, so now you're at 500 gallons, or 495 gallons, technically speaking. 500 gallons. Let's up that to 550 gallons. That'd be 10 55-gallon drums. That's your first system, but water is absolutely vital for life, so you need redundancy. So now get two 275-gallon IBC totes. Now you have another 550 gallons. Cool. Get a whole bunch of bottled water. Oh, but the BPA, you want to die or stay hydrated? Get a whole bunch of bottled water. Gallons, liter bottles, whatever. Get you a big Berkey. Secondary filters like a Catadine or a Sawyer Mini or a whatever, okay? Get your water squared away. You should have unscented bleach on hand. You should have water purification tablets, a method to boil, actually several methods to boil. A big pot and a turkey fryer works well. So have some 20-gallon propane tanks, all of that, okay? Get your water squared away. The next thing is 2 pounds of food per person per day. If there's 5 people in your house, that's 10 pounds of food times 30 days is 300 pounds of food. That seems like a lot of food. That's what you eat. That's what most people eat. It's about, depending on what food you're using for this metric, because not all food is created equal, but it's anywhere between 1,600 and 3,000 calories per day. 2 pounds of food is. So, what food should you have? Man, rice, beans, yup. Peanut butter is the caloric king for density in my book. But too much peanut butter over a short period of time could make you want to jump off a tall building. But have some peanut butter, and then stock things that you eat. You know, you should have some canned protein. You should have some canned vegetables. And then if your family just loves spaghetti, have a whole bunch of spaghetti and some sauce. Easy to make, right? Boil pasta, drain water, top with sauce, stir, feed. Easy. If your kids don't eat mac and cheese, don't stock mac and cheese. Like, it's simple. If you guys hate ramen, don't have a bunch of ramen. Like, if you can't stand spicy food, why do you have all this Asian cuisine stuff? You know what I mean? Like, stock what you eat, okay? But 300 pounds of food for a family of 5, 2 pounds per person per day. And I know there's going to be all kinds of people down in the comments. So they're like, that's ridiculous. That's too much food. That's not enough food. What about multivitamins? Yeah, have some multivitamins. What about this? It's all about the micronutrients. It is. It's also all about not starving to death. You know a great way to not starve to death? To eat rice and beans. Is it great for you? Nah. But I mean, go to Asia. Go tell Asia rice doesn't work. Okay? South America. Go tell South America that rice and beans isn't food. They will disagree with you. Next. Shelter. Food, water, shelter. Have a bunch of 3 mil and 6 mil clear plastic, a bunch of duct tape and packing tape. Okay, so that you can cordon off rooms as a sick bay in your home if you need to. You can also consolidate, if it's winter, you can consolidate everybody into one room and tape over the entrances to the other room so you keep the heat in that one room, right? Say the grid goes down, how do you stay warm? Pack bodies in there. Have a whole bunch of blankets, a whole bunch of pillows, sleeping bags, ground pads, the whole nine, right? Put everybody in that one room. Your body heat will go a long way to keeping everybody in that room warm. Alternative heating methods, little buddy space heaters, propane heaters, those are cool. Ideally, you'd have a way to burn firewood without suffocating from carbon dioxide. So like a wood stove that's piped to the outside legitimately, or a fireplace or something, okay? Your second story windows, like let's say you have a residential house, right? You should have a way to screw your second story windows closed, move all ladders away from the house, have them padlocked up. Make sure your gates lock if you have a gate and a fence, that there's no holes in the fence, that there's no low-hanging branches over the top of the fence. That people can climb up the tree, out the branch, drop into your backyard. I like having a stack of 2x4s around with some 3-inch deck screws and a pre-charged drill that if you need to screw things shut, you already have the stuff. A 5-gallon bucket of roofing tar, some kerosene and a rag for cleanup, and a taping knife are great ways to patch holes in the roof or whatever. Excuse me. Case of caulk, Alex caulk. Acrylic latex caulk for sealing gaps around windows and things like that long term, right? So be forward thinking in keeping your house airtight, which means keeping heat in and water and cold drafts out. And also, if you have an NBC issue, nuclear, biological, chemical issue, you don't want a free exchange of outside air and inside air. Do you need oxygen scrubbers? Man, I don't know, right? If you're trying to shelter in place in California, I just see that as a losing proposition, truthfully. I really do. I see it as a losing proposition. Unless you're in Northern Cali and you're in one of the smaller towns, that's a whole other story. I don't know where in California you are, but man, if you're in like the Bay Area or some such thing, no. Next, weapons. You're in California. Get a 2x4, put a nail through the end of it, that's your weapon. Like, I mean, for real. Have weapons, know how to use them. That's all I'll say on that. Have weapons, know how to use them. Have a plan in place for whoever's in your home or going to be in your home if when this happens, to have weapons and to know how to use them. Food, water, shelter, heat, right? We kind of touched on that. A way to make heat repeatedly. Have lots of fuel, whether that's propane or firewood or whatever. Shelter, combustion, tools, shelter in place, man. No. No. For any major issue on the left coast as far as SHTF goes, shelter in place is probably a losing proposition because the population density equation is not in your favor. But that would be the shelter in place portion of it. Then you go to the bug out portion of it. When should you bug out? Right now. Right now. The moment, again, because the population density equation for you sucks, the moment you have an inkling that this is bad, you should go. You should have multiple false starts. You should have everything that you need to survive 30 plus days in your vehicle, like boxed up, ready to go. You should have a bug out location. Your bug out location should be pre-stocked with all the big heavy things that you can already have, or you don't already have, you can't bug out with. Like, you can't take them with you, because to take, let's say there's 10 people going to your bug out location and you have a year's worth of food for everybody, that's 7,500 pounds of food. You're not taking that with you when you bug out, right? So your bug out needs to be nice and light, roll with you. I like the big blue totes, big plastic totes. I can fit about 86 pounds of food in one of those totes, which, along with a few other things, works out to about a month's worth of food for my family, which is awesome. So a month's worth of rations in a blue tote is a cool thing, right? So if you had a couple of those blue totes for you and your people or whatever, and they don't necessarily have to be completely full to where you can barely move them, but if you had your stuff in those totes, and you could throw them in the back of your car or on a little trailer behind your pickup truck or whatever, right? Bug out. Should you have a bug out bag? Yeah. Ultimately, all systems degrade into a man-portable system. So that's something to understand, is that while it's great to have all these things that you're going to take to your bug out location, the vast majority of your stuff should already be in a bug out location already. So you should bug out often. In your situation, you should be bugging out, like, I'd say probably 4 times a year as far as false starts go. Oh man, this is the one, let's go. Make your actions match your ambitions. Now, have the bag, have the route, have the location, have SOPs for how do you get from where I am to where I need to be, have a communications plan for all your people. Hey man, it's go time, let's go. Coping with the results of civil unrest. How do you win a fight you can't win? Don't be involved in the fight. Don't be there. If I know right over that hill is a far superior force to mine, and I can't win, why in the world would I go up over that hill? I wouldn't. I would not be there. If they were coming this way, I wouldn't be there. If I knew, if I had the forethought, if I had the intel, hey, they're gonna be here, like the election's November 5th, I wouldn't be there. Or, hey, there's been 20 years of substantiated historical track record of people acting like heathens in this area. Bye. I'm out. Dealing with civil unrest otherwise, man, you better check your legality, especially in the police state that you live in. Because really, I mean, even just these, right? Using these where you live could land you on death row. I mean, actually, I don't think they kill people where you're at. They just try to rehabilitate them for the entirety of their life. But you get my point here, right? Even just this. You're the bad guy for defending yourself and your family and your loved ones. That's unacceptable, and it's un-American. Get the hell out. And I say this with love. Get the hell out. If you can't walk around with a rifle, says me, you live in the wrong place. That's a really good benchmark for where should I live. If you can sling a rifle and walk around without encountering anybody or raising an eyebrow, you live in the, that's okay. That's the place to live. If you can't, you live in the wrong place. Especially as somebody who's into preparedness, and I completely reject the idea of urban preparedness, and I can barely get on board with suburban preparedness, only if in suburbia your plan is to GTFO before the balloon goes up. But sheltering in place for long periods of time after the balloon goes up in suburbia, you're a statistic, brother. Urban, forget it. Forget it. You might as well just go to prison, because that's what it's going to become. If you survive, that's what it's going to become. It'll be a prison. Out here, all of those things still play, might happen, but the enforcing these things, making them happen, is going to be much tougher out here than it would be where you are. I was talking with a brother on the phone recently, and I said, you know, in Boston, you can go door to door. SWAT team can go door to door and hit hundreds of homes in a night if they need to. Out here, you'd be lucky to get 3 or 4, maybe. And if those 3 or 4 put up resistance, it might be 2. Maybe. It's a population density game, man. It's an economy of scale. So surviving civil unrest in California, don't be there. If civil unrest starts, man, you better know your legalities now. Because somebody comes up to me and poses a threat to me, depending on what that threat looks like, it may be condition yellow, it may be condition red. And if we go to red, sorry, brother. Nobody gets to exercise their rights to the detriment of my rights. Does that make sense? You can parade in the streets all you want. The moment you inflict harm on me or my loved ones, or the threat of harm on me or my loved ones, so I would not be there, brother. That's my answer to you. How do you deal with civil unrest in California if Trump wins re-election? Get the hell out. How's that for an answer? And I mean that with all the love in my heart, but it's a very just, what else would you have me say to you? I could lie to you. I could be like one of these popular preparedness channels and go, here's 75 ways that you can deal with civil unrest when the balloon goes up in your suburban 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Step 1, become a statistic and die. Like, no. We don't do the fantasy talk here. That's my honest input for you, man. In the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where I would rank your situation, option A, the best option. Primary, get out now. Alternate, bug out immediately. Immediately, the moment you think you're going to have a problem. Contingency, shelter in place. I would have way more than 30 days worth of stuff. I think a year is a great place to start, but if you only have 30 days, good. Go to 90, 180, 270, 360. And then lastly, emergency. You're going to become a cog in the machine. Whatever machine rises up around you in that situation, You need to be a real good cog in the machine. You need to play that game. And I hate that for you because that's entirely un-American. Surviving SHTF in California. It's like the old adage, Army intelligence. It just doesn't go together. Shalom.